I'd like to recognize the public, of which I see none, which means that the rules of procedure are not necessarily, we don't need to read the rules of procedure since we, as the select board, know the procedure for us, and that is aimed at the public. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, I have one addition that we can do under highway that should have been done last week.
Okay. We'll do that under highway. Are there any changes to the order of the agenda?
I do not have any.
Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove of the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
And I will second it. Peter, did you
All
say that
those in
there was
favor?
an issue about the minutes of the last meeting? Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we're on to highway.
Sign them.
And Danny, what's up?
Go to the back page.
Oh, not much, we just grading roads, trying to get some roads smoothed up. We're starting setting culverts. I'm hoping Wednesday we can start cleaning ditches and start grading them. Last week, Peter and I met with the state for a walkthrough on a couple of projects we gotta do on Carpenter Hill Road for the new culverts. We had, 12 contractors
Yes.
show up to do the walkthrough for the bids on the culverts, and on the, I think it's the 20th of May,
Yep.
we'll review all the bids, and then the next selectmen's meeting, you guys will approve which ones that we recommend or the state recommend on who gets the job, so.
And we got a grant.
Yeah, that one's $175,000.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I applied for another one, for another structure grant for a culvert on Tater Lane. And last Friday, or Thursday, Peter received word that we got it
Terrific.
for the full amount for $175,000. So hopefully sometime in the near month or so, we'll get that one out to bid too.
Great.
We have to wait until after July 1st to put that one out. So I don't know if we can get based on the input from the last meeting, I'm not sure if we can get somebody in time to do it before October 1st when the state prevents work in the stream bed. So we might have to do that one next year.
Yeah. So anyway, we got another grant to do another structure.
Terrific. And I'm pleased to see that the grant spreadsheet is up to date,
It is.
which is very important.
How's mud season going for you?
Actually, the worst spot I got is the backside of Green River Hill again. It's drying up. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still a little gushy. But they're starting to dry up pretty good now. Still got to be careful how close to the edges you get because there's still a few soft spots. But we're trying to get around, get them graded up quick as we can. And you know, when you get a couple of days of rain a week, and before that we had frost, we couldn't do much until noontime or so. But we're gaining on them.
The road's still posted, or?
I've been pulling, the only ones I got posted right now is I'm gonna probably pull tomorrow is Sweets Pond Road. I still got Packers
Packer
Corners
Corners,
Road posted. That one's not bad. And I got Carpenter Hill, I'm gonna be pulling the posters on them, and Hale Road tomorrow, and I'm gonna leave the ones up on Stage Road for the time being, till it dries out a little bit more. But I've been pulling them as I going around, seeing if the roads are, the roads are starting to firm up, so.
Yeah, there's still one pretty fairly gushy spot on the bottom of the Packer Corners Road, and I don't know about.
That just passed in between Tom Henry's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's always one of
That's
the
very
last.
bad
yeah,
spot.
it's
Lots.
late,
Yeah,
but, that's just in relation to pulling the posting. We
Yeah.
all know how to go around it.
Anything else?
no, that's it for
Then,
everything roads.
since you're up, would you like to characterize the purchase of the new highway truck and the process of the bidding and going out to one bid, which is what the select board is going to consider?
Yes, what we have in the past, there's a body company and a truck company, they build spec trucks.
This is just
And what it is, that they know what the towns want. So what they do is they build one, and they let it know that they're building a truck, and so any towns that are looking for one in that particular style, what's the nice part about it is it's already built. You don't have to go, because the way the body companies work, if you order a truck, then when the truck comes in and it goes to whatever equipment you're gonna put on it, once it gets in line up there, it could be not until after the first year before you're gonna get it, because they take them as they come in. So that they build them. Matter of fact, they're building a couple of tandems. They're building some 1-tons. What it is, they're all ready to go. So any, if the town is interested in it, they put an interest in it. Say that we're interested in it. They'll give you a price on what it is, and then this one's going to be ready by the end of May. So.
And I shared with the select board last week in an email the price that you were quoted for this one, which is
Yep.
$100,611.70, which is
And when we bought the last one,
7 years ago.
the 2012, we're probably about a $1,200 difference between the price of the one that they're building now and the one that we bought 6 years ago. So.
And we want to make clear that, that this truck and a single axle dump truck were both planned for this
It was
year.
in our- it was
They were in
capital
the capital
equipment, yep.
the capital equipment
Yep.
budget. The projected cost was $100,000 versus the actual $100,611 that was quoted. We currently have in the Highway Reserve Fund $198,700, of which part of it is allocated for the purchase of this particular truck. So this is not coming as a surprise. We've known, and we planned this truck quite a while ago.
So are we ready to entertain a motion, or do we need to have more conversation?
I don't need to have, I can also say that Gordon and Sheila have indicated that they think that this truck should be purchased at this price, and with this one bid. So I am ready to entertain a motion.
And we've, in the last 3 1-tons that we've bought, they were all spec trucks. They were all on the lot, ready to go. So I just want to let you guys know that they're already there. So I mean, when we purchased them, they were already ready.
Any other discussion?
What kind of truck, what make is
This
it?
is going to be another Ford 1-ton.
A Ford,
But
okay.
the only, I'd like to go a little bigger on that size truck, but the only thing that screws me is the covered bridge. We have to keep, it's one of the trucks that'll be going through the
Right.
covered bridge.
You have to keep it.
So we have to watch the GVW for the weight wise going through the bridge. Otherwise, if we go a little bigger, I'm
Right.
gonna have to send the truck all the way around through Massachusetts and around, and it takes time to get around there. So,
Sure does.
yep.
So where's the dealer that you work
The
with?
dealer, the dealer for the Ford truck is Claremont Ford,
Okay.
and then the body that I run are all MG bodies, and that's out of Morrisville, Vermont, through HB Fairfield. I mean, the cab and chassis, the equipment's about 49,000, and then of course the cab and chassis was about 50. Well, sticker price on it was like 57, and with our governmental discount we get, it brought it down to 46. And you add the extended warranty on it, which I'm a firm believer in. And then we had a few other things add on the truck from the body, which is a big spotlight on the top, had a plumb hydraulics to the rear for the rake, and then the other one was
The cameras.
the cameras. We have backup cameras on them all.
Oh, okay.
So,
And the price that I gave to the select board included all those
Yeah.
extras.
so
So if you were gonna make a motion, we're actually gonna need 2 motions. One is
To go with the sole source vendor for the purchase,
That's
and
correct.
then
Okay.
to authorize Dan.
That's correct.
So we should
Okay,
have a
2
motion for the
motions?
sole source.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first needs to be the sole source vendor, because of the fact that Dan's purchased his past 3 trucks from these folks, and will install the same equipment that he already has.
Right.
Okay, so I move that we go with a sole source vendor for this purchase.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is
Okay.
passed, thank you.
So I'd like to move that we authorize Dan to move forward with this process of purchase.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is passed unanimously. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay. When do you think we'll have the truck in this town?
They're hoping to have it done by the middle of May to put it in the equipment show up in Barry. It's in,
Oh, that's
which
right,
is in
yeah.
May. So.
Are we trading in an older?
No,
truck,
we're gonna keep the 2001, the 2012 that it's gonna be replacing. I'd like to keep that truck, see how it goes. Just because a lot of the storms, I send the grader out, which don't really need the grader on some of these smaller storms. So if we can run the 3 1-tons, we get around a lot quicker. So, which is, then if you get a big storm, you can send the grader out. And then what I'm hoping is if sometime along, maybe we'll get an extra person. And if we get a big storm, I can call an extra guy in to help out so we can get along a lot faster. So.
Great, well, that leads us into the next road crew, this is a conversation rather than, we're not putting this forward for a vote, but you want to tell us, Dan, about adding another road crew member?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta really, I mentioned it to Gordon, I mentioned it to Sheila, and even Alan's brought it up to him a couple times that he's gonna be thinking about retiring here, and we really should get
That's
somebody.
Alan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody in to learn the roads this summer. Plus, we got a lot of extra work. We're gonna be doing all the stone line ditching and stuff. And I could really use an extra hand. We should be thinking about trying to find somebody for the summer. I don't know when Alan's really gonna get done yet, but let's say if he decides to go before deer season, you know, in the wintertime is not a good time to be breaking in a new man.
Right.
So if we can get somebody in now, let them get used to the equipment, trucks, learning the roads, that would be a real big help.
So the premise is that Alan is going to retire, and Alan is a good trainer, and before he retires, we should have Alan training the new person, and it wouldn't be a burden of really an extra crew member on our budget because long-term, because Alan is going to retire,
Right.
and this new person would be taking
And when
Alan's
Alan gets
place.
done, then
Right.
we already got, we go back to the 5-man crew again. You know, then we'll be all set to have somebody for the winter.
So I'm certainly in favor of that. We don't want to vote on it, I think, until Sheila, because it's about the budget. I think we should wait till Sheila and Gordon are here to chime in on this idea.
It's something that should be thought about.
Right.
I mean, because he could all of a sudden say, you know, in a week, 2 weeks, I've had enough, I'm gonna get done, or what, I'm gonna retire, and at least we got somebody that we can fall back onto, and, you know, we should think about the future here on what's going on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Seems like, to me, like an excellent precedent. And is there already somebody that you
I
have?
got a couple people that express, express an interest, but nothing really in stone.
Yeah,
You know, I thought about, you know, I mentioned to Gordon maybe, and Sheila both, maybe hire a part-time guy a couple days a week. But if we do that, you wanna make sure that if we do hire a part-time guy, it's gonna be somebody that wants to step into a full-time position. So,
Well, I'm glad we're thinking about this now, so we'll be ahead of the curve in regard to Alan's retirement and the training of a new person on the road crew. And are there any other comments or discussion in regard to that?
I get just, I mean, ultimately, we're carrying 6 people. I mean, that's what we're talking about for a limited amount of time. Or, so is there a contingency fund, or would we have to, as far as where we would come up with the funds, I guess?
well, I got a little money left over from my winter maintenance
Yeah,
and wages.
okay. So
There's some money there, and the rest will just have to, hopefully, if we have a mild summer, we should be pretty close on our wages that we have for general maintenance. So it's just gonna be a wait and see game.
And also if there's any surplus at the end of this fiscal year, that will roll over into the new fiscal year, and we can use that for paying wages as well.
Anything else?
Well, I just think it's a really good process to have in place for the future.
As Sheila noted in an email to me last week, that while this new individual wasn't budgeted for in this upcoming fiscal year, a budget is a guide, and this is, as conversation with Dan has shown, this is a need that they have to make sure that they're prepared for when the winter starts and when Alan decides to go, and so that this is a demonstrated the need that the town has, and so we do have enough funds to be able to figure out how to pay for it. It's just a matter of sitting down to figure out where they're specifically going to come from.
Great, so we'll be taking up this issue again, at least at the next meeting, most likely. The next item on the agenda is the town and library friend. I'm sorry, oh, you had another, that's right, you had the addition, yep, sorry.
So,
Oh, this was the addition.
yes, this was the addition. Let me just finish my thought here one moment. All right. So several weeks ago, Megan Brunk and Tyler Birchmore from VTrans came over and met with Dan and Sheila and myself, and they do this every spring to discuss the annual financial plan for town highways. And what they do, and you guys have seen this, who have been on the board have seen this before, what they do is they break down Dan's annual highway budget for the upcoming fiscal year into a variety of different categories in order to calculate the minimum the minimum amount of damage the town has to incur in order to be eligible for disaster funding. And so we sat down and did that, and that's what this little worksheet shows. And this is you need to have a motion that certifies that the funds raised by the municipal taxes are equivalent to or greater than a sum of at least $300 per mile for each mile of class 1, 2, 3, and 3 town highways in the municipality.
Okay, would you like to make that motion?
Okay. I move that the legislative body of the
The select board.
The select board.
Okay, I move that the select board certify that funds raised by municipal taxes are equivalent to or greater than the sum of at least $300 per mile for each mile of class 1, 2, and 3 town highways in the municipality.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
So now we
Do we
need to sign this?
Do we all need to sign this, I guess so?
You do, yes.
And today is the
22nd is Earth Day,
That's
It
right.
is.
duly noted.
Okay, and the next item on our agenda is the Town and Library Friends Memorandum of Understanding. I have to make clear at this outset that I am both a select board member and a library trustee, so that's for the purposes of transparency. This is about, and we're not going to, are we going to vote on this tonight? No, we're just bringing it forward.
It's just the beginning of a discussion.
Yeah.
So you want me to give the background?
Sure,
of it?
go ahead, Peter.
So every once in a while, the League of Cities and Towns will send out emails to their members in which a different member town asks a question about a specific topic that they don't have an answer to and are curious how other towns in the state handle this topic. And so I received one of those last week from a town administrator in another town in which they had a situation somewhat similar to what Guilford has right now, a little bit different, in that they have a municipal library that is looking at building a new public library. Obviously, we're only doing an addition, not building a new building. But that they also have a nonprofit friends group that has a fairly substantial amount of funding to build this new library, but not enough to fully build the entire library. So they were looking at it and inquiring if other towns have set up some form of financial partnership between the public entity of the town and this private entity of the not-for-profit organization. And considering the project that we are moving towards here and the grant we're applying for the feasibility study, it got me thinking that we haven't had this discussion. And even if the select board and the library friends group don't decide to do anything, I think it's at least good to have a public discussion as to whether or not we should consider some form of fiscal agreement between the two entities going forward.
So as a representative of the library, I can say that the trustees are very interested in having a memorandum of understanding. It was the trustees' sort of discussion of a memorandum of understanding that finally got us to understand that the library is a municipal office, basically, that the building is owned by the town of Guilford and the library is a municipal library. So that had never really been articulated very clearly before. So I am, as a trustee, think that it's very important for us to have a memorandum. It's going to just outline how we would work together, particularly in regard to the responsibility for funding matters. Because the Friends of the Library is, and one of the reasons why we developed in the last year a Friends of the Library, which is a 501c3, a nonprofit, is so that there is a separate entity that is from the town that is raising money for the library, which is the Friends. And so the library's accounts have been changed to Friends of the Library as opposed to the library, because the library now is totally in the town's budget. The funds that the Friends raise are for additional, for costs and initiatives that the town does not pay for. So it would be good to have that all in writing in a memorandum. That's my perspective on it. And I think it's something that when the select board is full with members, that we can continue that discussion, and any members of the town or trustees of the library can come and join that discussion.
So just to recap, who are the parties involved? That would be?
The library, the Friends of the
actual-
Library, and the town. That's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
so select board or?
Yes, select board members and the board group for the Friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it just so happens that most, not all, but most of the trustees are also on the Friends group.
Yes. Not all of them.
Yeah, because
But there are a number of friends who are not trustees.
yeah.
And they're sort of providing an endowment, an enrichment and an endowment to help to fund things that, programs that the library wants, and also expenses that would be beyond the scope of the town's budget for the library.
It's very typical for a library to have a Friends group. At Brooks Memorial Library in Brattleboro, the Friends group is very active, and you can see, you usually see something that the Friends of the Library are doing to raise money for that library, and they've done great things with the money they've raised. So
And
that's what we're hoping for our little library here.
raised a lot of money in that town as well.
So is there any other discussion on that matter? MOU for the library and the town? Yeah.
Sounds great.
Great. So now the Rec Commission grant. This is, we need to, the Rec Commission is applying for a grant.
They're actually applying for 2 grants.
Yes,
found out.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They're applying for a grant to build a shed behind the library to house the winter equipment, the skis and the snowshoes that the library is lending out, and they're applying for a grant to plant a garden on the playscape.
Yes.
And so for one of these grant applications, proposal, it's not a grant, it's a proposal, they need a signature who is a physical agent, and it's suggested that we, the select board, have Peter as the fiscal agent to sign that grant proposal. So,
And actually, I found out this afternoon that both grants need it.
okay. So we need a motion to, that will direct Peter to, will appoint Peter as the fiscal agent for these two grant proposals that the rec commission is putting forward.
I will make a motion to appoint Peter as the fiscal agent.
And I shall second it.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, the rec commission, in particular, Jake Dixon, who's spearheading the Nordic ski program, they're really moving ahead and doing great things.
My son participates and we
Yeah.
have gotten some.
Jake is
Yeah.
really fantastic.
Good times out of that.
Got a lot of
Yeah.
energy. She's into it, as they say. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is the signing of contracts, which is
Yep.
not going to take too much time.
No, it's not, because you actually don't need to take any action. So
Oh,
these contracts are all work that the select board has previously approved. And as you, Richard and Verena, are aware, and Michael to inform you, every spring the town has an audit done by our insurance agent. And it's just to do a variety of things. Much of it is related to outside contractors as well as workers' compensation insurance, to make sure that we have not gone outside of our boundaries and we have paid in enough. And so one of the big things they're really cracking down on is that any contractor that the town hires who receives a 1099 from the town needs to have a contract. And we discussed this actually last summer, and the select board agreed that we need to have this. And so I'll just let you know who the contractor is, but then I just need your signatures, because you guys already, some of these you guys have already actually paid the bills for. So the first one is with MT3 Unlimited, and so the second one is with D&E Tree Company, who Dan uses pretty frequently. The third one is with Victor Johnson Electric. And as you know, he recently did some work over at the garage.
He's back at it? That's great.
Many of our houses have Victor Johnson
Yeah,
in
well, he
them.
was not accepted. I mean, he's taking a break for a little while, but I'm glad to hear he's back.
The next one is DJ's Truck Service and Repairs. Dan uses practically weekly, right, Dan?
that's too bad. I mean, because that means that something's broken, right?
And then the last one is a company called Goodway Document Services, which Penny uses in her work on document preservation. So we just need, this is basically crossing of Ts and dotting of Is for our audit coming up in a couple weeks.
Very good, and then the next item, the last item on the agenda, as far as I understand, is the warrants.
And I will be reading the warrants this evening. So, the warrants we have are,
Well, you want to move to pay the warrants, and then as you read them.
okay, I'd like to make a movement to pay the warrants. So we have payroll for week ending 4/14/19 of $6,052.11. We can approve them all together at the end?
Yes.
Okay, payroll for the week ending of 4/21/19, $6,052.13. And then expense warrant number 1920, $24,688.81. And expense warrant number FW20, $86.50. For a total of $36,879.55. Do I have a motion?
You just moved.
I did.
He needs to ask for
I
a
shall,
second.
oh, did you second
May
it?
I have a second, please?
Oh, you want,
Sure.
you want to second it? I'll do that, I shall
I made the
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Aye. The ayes have it. Communications, Peter.
Yes, we have one very brief communications. Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services of Southeastern Vermont sent a very brief but thoughtful letter to the Select Board thanking you for your appropriations for the upcoming fiscal year.
Excellent.
As well they should.
Yes. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a
Could I
motion?
make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that goes down on the record
Thank you
as
very
the
much.
speediest select board
Thank you,
meeting.
everybody. See you
Thank
later.
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good
Hey,
night.
see you tomorrow at school.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
7